Hi, this is Dr. Felicia, and I just wanted to pop on and talk about my book, Building Courage and Resilience After Trauma. I wrote this book maybe a year before COVID, and it took me a while. It was a labor of love, and that process was really arduous and emotional. I talk about my personal experiences of trauma as well as, of course, talk about trauma from a clinical perspective. Um, and a friend of mine reminded me a little while ago that this book was meant to bless many. And she got on to me about not promoting the book, like, what are you doing with the book? What's going on with the book? And to be honest, and I love this friend because she challenges me. Thank you, Christy. Um, but to be honest, I talk about, as I mentioned, my own traumas in the book. And so, putting your stuff out there can be intimidating, unnerving because people get to know your stuff. But also because it's also, in terms of clinical perspective, as much as I've studied trauma, worked with trauma, I guess now about 15 years or so, and know it, there's always something new to learn, but it's also the idea of being judged, right? From my peers, people who have their own trauma experiences. We might not, agree on everything, and that's just life. But so I wanted to pop on here to be diligent, to be obedient, because I do believe that God put the words to this book. He put it in my spirit to share. Working with trauma for a long time, what I've learned is that people don't know. Like, there's not a lot of education about trauma. They don't know about coping skills, how they can manage some of the symptoms, that there are viable, tried and true, tested treatments available. So this book actually incorporates all of that. So I start the book as if I'm talking to one of my patients. It's like, even those who've read it and have worked with me in the past are like, I hear your voice in this book, and that's good because that's what I wanted. I wanted to be a conversation. Now, there are parts of the book that are kind of heavy, not just because it's talking about trauma, but because, in order to understand it, you have to also get into understanding how the brain has been changed, and so that might be a little heady, but I think it's a book that will bless many. I wrote it for people who have experienced trauma and their loved ones, because one of the things I know is that trauma recovery, while it can be done in isolation, it's best to be done with the support of loved ones and friends, because it's hard sometimes and you need support. And as much as we might want to withdraw and turn inward and keep the world out because we're hurting, we need support. We need to know that just because one person or two people or 10 people hurt us, that doesn't mean everybody's going to hurt us. And so even that can be a corrective experience. So I say all that to say, I hope you will pick up a copy or order it for someone that you know and love, who you believe can benefit from understanding more about trauma. Who could benefit from some coping skills to manage some of the symptoms, but not even just with trauma, but everyday coping. We all could benefit from that, as well as learning about the 3 evidence-based treatments that the National Center for PTSD recommends for trauma. So I hope to hear your feedback. Again, be mindful that even though I'm a psychologist and well-versed in trauma, I'm still human. So I look forward to your feedback and hope it blesses you and someone you love. Thank you. Take care.